Hey everyone, Marty Snyder, Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty joining you here. We're excited to get to Daytona this weekend. Final race of the regular season for the Cup Series. We'll know who is in and who's out of the playoffs on Saturday night. So as of now, Kyle, looks like everybody below the cut line is going to have to win to get in. That could certainly change if some of the guys, Bubba Wallace specifically gets wrecked out of the race. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But with everyone really needing a win to get in, does that in a way simplify things?
Oh yeah. Listen, I know we talk about the playoffs, and this is in a microcosm, I guess, or in a smaller way for the playoffs. This is the Phoenix of our playoffs. You go to Phoenix, there's 4 teams, one shot, winner take all. We're going into Daytona, and there's 15, 20 teams that are back there, and it's one shot, winner take all. That kind of thing. It's the same. They're in the same position. So you know what the game is. You know what the game is going in. The only guy going into Daytona playing a different game, honestly, is Bubba Wallace. He's the only guy, because everybody above that line, they just go in for the win too. They're already in. Everybody below Bubba, they go in for the win. That's what it's all about. And it's kind of refreshing to go into a race and know that we're going to get to watch a race where everybody out there is going for the trophy. Everybody out there is going to have that ability to say, I've won at Daytona and I'm standing in victory lane. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to give someone either huge rewards by going to the playoff, or somebody another trophy for their case and another notch on their belt.
Yeah, I think we need to start a poll and let the fans chime in this week as to what word we should use besides aggressive, because we're going to need something bigger and better to explain what this race on Saturday night is going to be about. When you have this many drivers that are below the cut line that literally have the opportunity to win and advance into the playoffs. And when I say below the cut line, this goes all the way to 30th spot in the points, where Harrison Burton sits right now. We've seen Harrison lead these races at Daytona since he has come into the Cup Series. So you can't discount the fact that the guy sitting there in 30th could possibly be the 16th driver in the playoffs. And there's so many in between that have won races. There's 5 below the cut line that have won at Daytona through the years. And then you throw in Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman that you know are going to get quite a bit of help from not only their teammates, but possibly other Chevrolet drivers along the way. This is going to be a race like we haven't seen before. And the guy that we always think that is maybe one of the most aggressive and certainly one of the most confident coming into Daytona is Bubba Wallace. As Kyle was pointing out, he's got to have a different mindset possibly coming into this. So how does all of this play? I know we've got 5 or 6 days before this happens, but I'm so excited to see how this plays out and who might possibly step up and win their way in once again, just as we saw Austin Dillon do last year.
You know, Kyle, after the race at Watkins Glen, we saw Bubba Wallace be emotional. You could just feel the pressure of the playoffs for him. Maybe a different way to look at Daytona, because so much is out of your control. Does that take some of the pressure off of these bubble drivers to say, there's not much I can control at this race, just trying to put myself in the best position I can?
Yeah, listen, I can't even imagine what Bubba's going through this week, honestly. I think it takes all the pressures off everybody but Bubba. We're just specifically talking about him on this, because the other guys, if you look at Ty Gibbs and golly, man, I think there's, like Dale said, you go all the way back to 30, there's the opportunity for these guys to win. There's not only the opportunity, there is the ability for each one of these teams to win. It's not a joke. It's a real deal. These teams are real deals that can jump in there and win a race. We were within a half a lap or 3/4 of a lap of Corey LaJoie winning in Atlanta, which is this type of race. So I think when you look at teams like that, so Bubba's got to know that. He knows that. But man, it's just like, how do I approach this? And I don't. The other guys, like I said, it's just get it done, man. Just go get it done. For Bubba, it's let me get to the halfway point and see where I'm at. And I think that's kind of what it's going to roll into. We may see the tale of 2 races for Bubba as he tries to score stage points or whatever that is, or he evaluates where he's at when he gets to the halfway point. But listen, they've got to have Let's just put a camera on their pit board, because there's got to be about 16 whiteboards with 16 different scenarios on what we're going to do as the race goes, and we're just going to pull them down and run with them, because it's going to be chaotic for that team, I believe.
Yeah, and, it's great to see Bubba in this situation of making the playoffs, but I don't envy his week of thinking all of the different scenarios as to what is best. Do they go race hard, try to get stage points in the first two to where they know that if anything should happen, that they could be in that way, or do they just turn their driver loose and say, hey, this is what you do. We'll take our chances. The best scenario would be, in their case, would be to put Bubba Wallace in a position to win the race at the end of the race. And if he wins, then he knows that he did his job, and that's the best way to go about it. Tough situation, but this is where we're going to see another young driver in a pressure-packed situation. We're going to learn a lot about Bubba Wallace on Saturday night as to how he handles the pressures of trying to make the playoffs at one of the most difficult tracks that you could possibly have this happen.
Yeah, let me put it this way to you, Marty. And my granddad Petty used to say, you can't play poker with a crazy man, because you never know what he's going to bet, and you never know what he's going to do. Bubba Wallace is going to roll into Daytona on Saturday night and have to play poker with 35 guys with 35 different agendas. He can't outguess all 35 guys. He can't know what all 35 guys are going to do. He's got to focus on his hand, the hand he's been dealt, and he's got to play the best game he can play. And that's a hard position to be in. So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to get there to see how it is. And Bubba will be a better race car driver and a better person coming out the other side mentally in his head to survive this if he comes out the other side.
DJ, I want to ask you about the teammate situation real quick. You brought that up. So if you're a key partner at Chevrolet, I mean, last year we saw Tyler Reddick when he was at RCR. He was committed to Austin Dillon all day long. It wound up working out. Austin Dillon made his way into the playoffs in this race by winning the Daytona race. But if you're a key partner at Chevy, which driver do you pick? I mean, they're not normally this many Chevy drivers out of the playoffs. Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, all these drivers that were in before, they're now out. So how does that work out in the Chevy camp specifically?
Yeah, good question. I think, who do you push? I mean, you're in a situation, and I realize having good teammates is a wonderful thing. But if you're William Byron at Hendrick Motorsports, do you push Chase Elliott and hope that you can push him into a win and he makes the playoffs? What if he is then the one that either keeps you from getting to the championship 4 or happens to get to the championship 4 with you and beat you for the championship? I don't know. I was too selfish a driver to want to help someone else in this type situation. But I do know that team orders are a different thing this day and time. It's going to be very interesting to see. I would have to think that, from a Hendrick Motorsports side and Chevrolet side, that Larson and Byron are going to try to get one of those two. Not, having both Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman with their big sponsorships not in the playoffs is a big hit for Hendrick Motorsports. But who do you help? I'm not sure. I guess whoever's your best teammate there, whoever's your best friend, and I don't know, whoever's going to slide you a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
After everything's over, I don't know how you go about this.
Yeah, listen, what we're describing, Marty, is we're going to go back to tandem racing. Okay, it's like Larson, I want you to take Bowman. Okay, it's like William, I want you to take Chase. It's like Michael McDowell, I want you to take Gilliland. It's like Ross Chastain, you're going to take Suarez. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to take. Kyle Busch is going to take Austin Dillon. Everybody's going to take their teammates and push them up to the front. So we're having tandem racing. And it's what it almost feels like, when we start talking teammates and stuff, because you've got guys in helping teammates out. But, I'm like Dale. In the end, I'll go back again to my granddad. If you got a snake down, keep your foot on his head. If I've got a competitive car and he's outside, I don't want to let him in the playoffs. I don't want him to give him a second chance at life and him come back and kick my butt for the championship at the end of the day. So I may give him hey, I'll help you, and then turn my head. You know what I mean? One of those deals. It's a head fake because it's like, I look like I did. I really tried to get there. I just couldn't get there. One of those things, because I'm telling you, man, in the end, and Dale Jarrett knows it, in the end, it's about standing there on that last race at the end of it, holding that championship trophy, the collective work of all year long. And this is one race in a 36 race season. And what you put in is that work and that effort to win that championship for your sponsor and for your team players and for your crew members. And you've got to be selfish. I don't care if you've got 6,000 teammates. There comes a point in the sport where you have to be selfish. And I just believe this is still a moment. This is one of those races where you have to be maybe more selfish than ever. I don't care what Chevy says or Toyota says or Ford says. Be selfish, man. Take that trophy for yourself.
Thanks for joining us for Motormouths, presented by Toyota.
Hi, I'm Parker Kligerman. For more access like this from Pit Road, be sure to click and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel.